I have something that I want to talk about today that I'm going to assume applies to all of us as dads. And it's very relevant to me. And so, what I want to talk about today is siblings when they fight, when they bicker, when we as parents see our kids going out of their way to create conflict, to create frustration in their sibling. And I want to talk about how we handle that in the moment, the story that we're telling ourselves with what it all means when our kids fight, and then what do we want to do with it? What does good look like? What is the right balance of stepping in to play the role of referee and also letting them figure things out for themselves, letting them learn through experience? Because I fully understand and believe in the fact that we can't be there to solve all of our kids' problems. And I believe in letting our kids fail in a controlled environment or situation so they can learn from it. And I also want to encourage failure in my kids. I heard somebody say, and I forget who it is, but they said, if you're not failing, it means you're not trying enough things. And so it was a really powerful reframe on failing, where it's like, you should be failing. And if you're not, then you should be thinking about things. And that's a topic for another day. That's something that I've kind of wrestled with all my life. This sort of desire to always be performing at a really high level because fear of failure, you know, was something to be avoided at all cost. So, back to the subject of siblings fighting. And for the context of our conversation today, we'll say that fighting means arguing. I'm not talking about physical altercations because I think that is a separate conversation. So I'll set the stage. Um, we just got back from vacation. We went up to a lake that we go to almost every year, and we take the kids there. And this, where we go at the lake, there's a lot of history to it. Um, my in-laws used to take me and my wife before we had kids. This is like 20 years ago. And, before I came into the picture, my in-laws were taking my wife there. And so it's a really special place. It holds a lot of very fond memories. And we started taking our kids there, I think about 5 years ago. And it's on the calendar every year, and we look forward to it. And we've created amazing memories there. And if I'm honest, we've had our struggles up there too, like any family does in any situation, which is part of the struggle for me. We've talked previously in these calls, in this community, about expectations. And I can feel expectations really showing up for me as a dad when it comes to these annual vacations. Because my hope how I want things to go, and if I'm honest with myself, there is an expectation that they'll go this way as well. It's like, "Yeah, we look forward to this all year, and it's expensive." And so I've got these reasons on why I hope my kids can rise above when all what is realistically age appropriate stuff. But I find that it's magnified. The pain for me is magnified watching my kids go out of their way to create conflict when we are in a place, in a setting where the goal is to just, relax and unwind and create joyful moments that we can experience one with each other. And, it's really easy to look at a vacation like that in this sort of fantastical kind of way. But we're bringing a lot to the table as parents, especially when you start to think about, how hard we work and how we have this time and this break and it's connected to, you know, memories that we have and then, the cost. It, our kids don't understand that and it's not part of their equation. So, for me, on our vacation recently, there was a couple moments where it just it got really hard. It feels like each one of these little battles that I witness and, you know, uh, most of them, I'm extremely happy with how I showed up as a dad. We gave them space to figure things out. My wife and I were like, "Look, we don't have to take their emotions on and they can have their feelings and they can sort through these things." And, you know, if I'm really objective about like if I'm keeping track of the score for myself, uh my batting average was real high. But what stands out are the moments where it did get to me and my emotions really ratcheted up inside. And I didn't blow up. Um I voiced frustration for sure, but I didn't scream. I didn't, like punish. I didn't threaten. So in terms of what my kids saw from me, again, I'm proud of how I showed up. But inside, it was real hard at times. And, you know, my wife and I shared that experience as well. And it was really hard for her at times too. So a question for anybody that sees this to ponder. And I'd like you to write the question down. And if you are viewing this video here in school, I'll post the questions in the comments to this video. But when your kids fight, what is your first instinct? And when do you know when you want to let them figure it out on their own versus when do you want to step in? And is it purely situational? Is it based solely on what you're seeing from the two kids in the moment? Or, like I described earlier, does it build inside of us? Not in an explosive blow the lid off way, but is it like a ratchet to where, each time they do it, internally, it's taking a toll, and so they stack? Or can it really just be objective to you, to where what happened in the past doesn't have an impact on what's happening in the moment, and so you can base your decision on how to handle that just in and of the moment? So that's the first question. The second question is, if you are brutally honest with yourself, do you side with one kid more than another? And I think this question deserves some exploration because I think by and large, a lot of us would naturally say that we're neutral, right? We're Switzerland and we just want a peaceful resolution. But do your best to put yourself in the eyes of your kids individually. So like if you got two kids that are involved in this thing, if you're recalling an instance in your memory, take the opportunity to put yourself in each of their shoes and think about what their experience of you was like as a dad. And do that over time and just see, like, are you leaning one way? Not necessarily like they're my favorite kid, so I'm going to side with him. But maybe it's because of age, where the expectations are different for the older kid than the other one. When in truth, they're both just kids and they're both learning things. Or could it be based on other factors? Could it be based on history? You know, if one of the kids has a history of being an instigator, do you typically side, maybe subconsciously, do you side on the other one? Something to think about. Third question. When your kids are fighting, what is it that you feel inside? I want you to name the feeling and I want you to write the story that you're telling yourself in that moment when you're feeling these strong emotions. And I would say turn that faucet on and take the opportunity to let as much come up and out as you can, as it feels appropriate. And when you do that, and you can step back and see what's on the page, especially in the aspect of the story that you're telling yourself. And if that story plays out into the future, if you can put that all down on the page and you look at that and you're like, oh, holy shit. No wonder I have such strong emotions when the kids fight. It's because when they fight, I tell myself the story that they're going to grow up and, not have friends because they start fights with the people that are close to them. And they're going to live this really like sad and unhappy life. That's just an example. But if that's a story that you're telling yourself, it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder when they fight, my emotions rise so quickly. It's because I feel like I'm fighting for my kid's future. So in that regard, your intentions are coming from love and care. That's the underlying intention. But they don't show up as love and care necessarily in the moment. It might show up as just frustration or anger. And we'll cap it at those three questions. And I would love to hear how other people handle this within their home. Because for the most part, tough moments like this, they only exist within the privacy of our homes. It's not common for dads to get together and share struggles like this and to ask a friend or a family member, hey, how do you handle this? Because this is really challenging for me right now. It's just not a common conversation. It happens, of course. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's not common. So take the opportunity to share what feels really challenging when it comes to this and let other people in this community support you in that way. And if they feel so compelled to tell you how they handle things or ways that they have shifted their perspective and reframed what an argument actually is or what it represents between their kids, maybe you'll learn something amazing. But just putting it out there helps. This helps. You're helping me. Even if nobody sees this, this is helping me. So just know that that same opportunity, that same benefit is there for you if you open up and share freely. And last, if you aren't already a member of this community and you'd find value in joining a group of dads that care, they care enough to join a group of other dads in an attempt to learn and improve and just to be the dad that they know they can be and that they want to be for the benefit of their kids because they understand how important all of this is. And they also understand that time is running out. Our window with our kids, it closes faster. It's going to catch you off guard. If it hasn't already, it will. Mark my words. So do the work. Come join a group of dads and get better at it by just learning from each other. If you want to search it up, you can go to skool.com, SKOOL, and look for the Engaged Father Project community. It's free to join. And there's amazing stuff in there. And I look forward to seeing you in there. And if you are already a member of this community, I appreciate you dearly. And we'll talk to you soon. Have an awesome day.